Walungu village is near Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu province in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Many of the women waiting at the hospital are victims of sexual violence. Some will look beyond medical care and seek justice. Sexual violence is a hallmark of the conflict in Eastern Congo. Justice for most of the women has been elusive. Walungu Hospital is the main public hospital in South Kivu. Understaffed and under-equipped, with a capacity of only 160 beds, it services the local community of over 20,000 people.
We
get many women coming for treatment in the hospital. Not all women victims of sexual violence seek help, out of shame or fear or stigmatization. But we are seeing more women come to seek treatment.
Struggling in their daily lives in the vast, rich yet so poor African nation, seeking justice takes courage and endurance. Where conflict is a way of life and the rule of law absent, justice is not easy to find. All too often, the violators remain a threat, walking scot-free. The difficulties in pursuing a prosecution did not deter Jamin Bitaragazi and his neighbor. They returned home from cultivating their fields 2 years ago to find their 8 children aged between 4 and 11 had been sexually abused by a soldier from the government forces, the FARDC. They patiently sought justice and were partially successful.
We went to court. He was arrested. He is now in prison, but we never got the money.
The soldier who attacked the children is now behind bars. This girl was among them. But the families have never received the amount of 40,000 Congolese francs, equivalent to just under $50 awarded by the court. They say their children's lives will never be the same again. The United Nations system has developed initiatives to address the protection of women and children from rape and other acts of sexual violence. These include appointment of women as protection officers to follow the cases. The United Nations Human Rights Office in DRC is helping communities to access justice.
We are trying to fight the main causes of the impunity for sexual violences. One of the main causes, the many obstacles that the victim of rapes are facing when they are willing to go to justice. There are fear of reprisals, there are cost of justice, also fear of stigmatization and so on. So we are trying to support them through a network of local NGO to provide kind of assistance to these victims.
The government has begun holding public hearings to explain its zero-tolerance policy on sexual violence by the National Army and other security forces, which so often are implicated in large-scale pillage and killings against the very citizens they are supposed to protect.
Axis of our action is to push for the prosecution, effective prosecution, not only of the soldiers, but also of high-ranking officers of the Congolese army.
There are local organizations working with the United Nations Human Rights Office to help victims of rape to seek justice. Vorder in Walungu is one. Prosecutions are difficult and rare, but these women waiting at Vorder office for advice want to see the perpetrators brought to book. Tsinzala Chamoka is one of them. The people whom her brother owed money raided her home and took away her farm produce. Tsinzala sought help from the National Intelligence Agency ANR, but instead of taking up her case, she was assaulted by an officer.
He was in his office. It was just the two of us. I went to his office to seek help, but instead of listening to me, he raped me and gave me this illness. The illness is AIDS.
With the help of Vodea, Sinzala reported the case to the authorities, but the officer fled and no action has been taken. All I wait for is death.
Sisi tunahusika sana na kufatana na watu walitenda ubakaji.
We follow up victims of rape and accompany them to the police to get justice. And we take them to the hospital and follow up to ensure they get treatment and also follow up in the prosecutor's office.
Tunasindikiza wazazi ya watoto wala wa mama wenye walipata shida. Tunawasindikiza tena pia mbele ya vituo vya polisi.
The local police acknowledge the high numbers of rape cases against women, but they don't have the capacity to deal with so many cases. The only transport at the police station in Walungu is used by the police commander.
When you are arresting someone and have to walk long distances, and there is only one policeman to man the criminal, they will run away.
Ule wakati inapita ube nakamata mimi nasema aende na miguu atembea hapa na miguu kunjia ese ule polisi ataweza kabisa kuasure security ya ule mtu kunjia.
Despite the terrible odds, the very real likelihood of attack, the associated stigma, the poor health services, the lack of access to justice, women in the Democratic Republic of the Congo continue with their daily life struggles. They are now starting to resist the stigmatization, and some have dared challenge the culture of impunity.